small changes that make a big difference in Luminar Neo is our topic today on Luminar Coffee Break. Now, this is going to be an extended version. The odds of us doing in 10 minutes or less are going to be very slim, but it's going to be informative, and it all starts now. Hello, everyone. All right, so I'm really excited because the team has put together a really cool update. Now, remember, the difference in upgrade and updates. Updates is they're making improvements to the program on a regular basis. So if you were one of those people in the very beginning years ago that bought Luminar Neo for like $35 when it first came out, you have free upgrades like this, or updates rather, I'm sorry, not upgrades, updates for life, because it's a platform. Upgrades are something different when new features come out and things along those lines. All right. But this is a great update showing you once again that the team is going out of their way to make sure that they make Luminar Neo an incredible platform. All right. So let me just dive in and show you what we got started with. All right. Now, this image here, I was able to photograph the band Far East Movement during a concert. Awesome group. Loved it. This is straight out of the camera. In the past, what we would do is go to edit. And then for those that are new, if you're new to this, editing, the develop raw, look at this. It's a real scary tool, because look, and I can keep on going. I can unleash all of these. But look at this. So there's a whole bunch of stuff we could choose from. Well, we're going to use this auto adjust to enhance this image. Now, before I go any further, let me show you this real quick. These are going to be the 5 topics, all right, that we're actually covering. So the 5 changes, and the first one, like I said, is going to be that one. It's going to be a develop raw. And then we're going to go in a little bit further, and we're going to get very creative. And let me just double check one thing for you. One moment. Where am I? Here I am. Good, I got my notes. There we go. I'm so sorry. So we got the develop raw, and then we're going to free up some of our system resources, and I'll show you how they put that in to the system. Atmosphere AI, a lot of people, especially landscape photographers, wanted to see an upgrade or an update to this feature, and there it is. And then last, I'm going to show you a couple new ways to use our export for precision. And then center stage is going to be how you've been helping us shape the future. And with your feedback, these are some really cool things that we've been doing. So those are going to be the top 5 topics. So back to the develop raw. Watch this. If I click auto adjustment, I'm going to let it do its thing. It's going to automatically give me a good base for me to work with. So in this case here, it's going to, look at that. It's going to do what I normally would have done. I would have pumped up the exposure. I would have brought the highlights way down. I would have bumped up the shadows. All right. Now, what I'm actually going to increase a little bit more is I want to enrich the black tones a little more. Curves is fine. Oh, look what it did with the temperature. It adjusted all this for me. Sharpen was fine. Noise reduction, I am going to bump it up just a little bit because it was shot, obviously, on a deep stage or a dark lit stage, and it doesn't need to be transformed. So let's look at the difference before. And with that auto adjustment, look what I was able to do. But the cool thing about this is I could right click, adjust, copy those adjustments, or create a preset. And now by creating that preset, I could use that as my starting point for all those images in the set. And then from there, I can just hand pick and make those slight changes to each and every one. So that auto feature is a welcome. It's a welcome feature for that. Now, it's not like Enhance AI. Enhance AI is using AI. So notice, anytime you see AI next to the tool, it's using advanced algorithms to analyze the image, and it's going to be slightly different for each image. So here, Enhance AI just brought out the details a little bit more. Look at that. Nah, I like the black, so I'm going to go back to it. I'll go, now, you know what? I actually liked what the develop raw did, so I'm going to leave it at that point there. But the neat thing about this, like I said, if we come over here and show the defaults, if I apply this to the next image, it'll apply the auto adjustment to that next image, just like it did with this one. So it's not AI technically, but it's taking on the characteristics of what AI is doing. That's pretty cool. All right. So we have that set. And by the way, look at this. Here's my new book coming out, the iVow series. I did the same thing with this. So let me show you before and after. Look at this. Here's before. Look at that. There's after. Now you may not look at it and say, oh, that's a huge change. But look at that. That slight change to me just gave that more depth. And then of course I can come in and continue, let's say enhance. Bring the enhance AI up just a bit, but I only want it on the character. You've seen us do this a lot of times. Look, there we go. Look at that. Look how it just brings him out to life. Before, after, look how it just brings that in. All right. So that's a welcome feature that we just did. So let's go back here. So that we did that. Now, keep in mind, the next part, we're going to free up some of the disk cache that we talked about. Well, that disk cache kind of is a two-edged sword, because this is what we're going to do. I'm going to come over here to the File, Catalog, or I'm sorry, Preferences, and now under Preferences, we have a new feature called Clear Cache. Here's what I'm saying, why it's kind of a double edge. I have 6.41 gigs in this catalog. It's going to clear that up for me. But because it's doing that, here's the trade-off. Any of the images that I've already had cached have to be regenerated. So when this is useful is when you're done working with those other images and you're working on a new system, you go in and just clear that cache. Because for you to go back to those old images that you've already edited and you've updated is very slim. So again, you clear the cache, it's going to make it that much faster, but it's going to regenerate those thumbnails again if you go back to those images in those catalogs. So that goes back to what I've talked to about before, where are you using project-based catalogs or just one huge catalog? If you're using one huge catalog, this is a happy medium in between. Clear the cache when you're about to work on a new group of photos, and then you'll see the speed increase, all right? And while we're here, these are areas I'm sure a lot of you haven't explored. This dynamic background, I keep it off. When it's on, it looks cool. It takes this image and puts it into the background fading. But if you're doing a lot of editing, turn that off because you want a neutral background and no distractions. My smart search is on. And of course, down in here, help Skylum improve Luminar Neo. Because you've all been doing that, that's why these updates have been so successful. All right. So the next section right here is we're going to go on to the Atmosphere AI. All right. So let's cover that. So with the Atmosphere AI, ooh, here we go. Let's use a shot I did in Scotland. All right. Here it is. Give it a moment to render. All right. We're going to show you the before and after of this image. Actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. There. It's going to take a second for it to render, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to use this, not just all by itself, because a lot of people do that. They'll use it. I don't like what it looks like. It's meant to be used with other parts or other tools. So here it is. Here's before and after. Ready? Before, after. Look how it's adding the mood. And then if we take it a step further, ooh, look at this, black and white. So let's go back to this one. And what I want to do is come to edit. And actually, you know what? Well, let's just do it. I'm going to come down. Actually, you know what? To make life easier, let's come down. I'm going to discard all the changes. There we go. Give it a moment. Now, I should have just copied this. I should have made a whole new virtual copy of this. But fine, we're here like this. So I'm going to start out with that develop raw again. Because again, it needs some type of processing. I'm going to let it do its thing. So let's get the image looking good in the beginning. Now, I am going to come here. Let's see if any of these make a difference. Oh, that's not too bad. Oh, look at that, black and white. I didn't explore these earlier. I actually like that one. So let's look at the difference. Before, after, all right, good. So I'm off to a really good start. Now let's come down to landscape, atmosphere. Let's go to an extreme so you can see what it's doing. So I'm going to apply the amount to the entire image. So let's start with just fog. I give it a moment. There it goes. Now the depth is going to decide where does that fog go. Well, okay, that's good. Lightness. I can make the fog light or dark. I like it right about here. But I don't want the fog on the entire image like this. So I'm going to act like it's coming off of the ground. So let's use mask, a linear gradient. And now I'm going to apply that effect just to the bottom of the area. So here we are. Give it a moment. And let's see, did I do that right? I mean, I know I did it right, but did I actually saved it? Let's see. There we go. I don't think I saved it. There we are. So I got my linear gradient. I can invert it. Nope, I want to keep it right about there. So I want to apply the fog just to that area. And then I'm going to come in, give it a moment to render. I still can use my brush tool, which I want to erase at a small strength. Just come back around. So now what I'm just doing is I'm painting in where I want that fog to be. There we go. All right. Now let's come back up here, convert it to black and white. And we're going to use develop. And I want to enrich the black tones a little bit more. Ooh, right about there. That looks good. Look how it's adding this. So now if I want more fog, I'll just come back down here again and just apply a second variation of that fog effect. And while I'm here, by the way, let's look at the different ones. Here's layer. Ooh, look what that layer is doing on the bottom. Yeah, that's what I wanted. So I'm going to keep that layer effect, linear gradient, and I just want to apply it right to there. Give it a moment. There we are. Now I got it where I want it. And then, of course, again, I can come in, brush, erase at a small strength. I do want that castle to stand out. There we go. And then once again, I can come back up. And at this point, I could add another LUTs to it, let's say. So that's entirely up to you. Let's do creative, mood, and let's do, all right, some of my black and whites. Deep. Bring the contrast in. Saturate, bring it down. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. And actually, you know what? Let's go to a different cinematic. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, look at that. All right. So that just gives you an idea that we could take, you know, an image like this that most people see, and we're applying just different techniques to it overall. All right. So now that leads us into our next section. All right. Which is going to be export with precision. All right. So let's come back to my desktop. And from here, let's use my book. All right. Export. Now, oh, look at this. Look at the changes that we made right in here. When I say we, I'm talking about the engineers. So the engineers, to make your workflow faster, look at what I can do now. I can export it at 100% quality, 80% TIFF. Now I can still go back in, export with previous, or I could create a new export like the traditional way we've been doing it. It did welcome a new email to where I can email this to a person, but keep this in mind, especially for us Windows users, you have to have email connected at your system level. So you have to make sure if you want to use the email feature, it's relying on whatever email program you're using. I'm using Gmail and I haven't set it up with this yet. But if I want, let's say Carl or Dell said, Valley, I like that. Let me see what it looks like. Instead of exporting it to the hard drive, creating an email, finding it, sending it, now I can export it there. And don't forget, one of the features that a lot of people are forgetting about is you can connect it to your smartphone using Luminar Share. You can export it here, scan the QR code, and it automatically goes to your phone, and then I can export it from there. So that's pretty cool. And last but not least, what's taking center stage is you helping us make Luminar Neo better. You helping us with your feedback and the stuff that you're doing. Now, how can you do this with us? Well, I'm going to come over here under File under Help, and look at this, Provide Feedback. So I can click on this Provide Feedback, and of course, it's going to take you to the website and do what we normally do. All right, there it is, and you can help us out from there. That's one way. Another way is from here. Let me see where I had it for you, where I can actually send the image. Here's my Luminar Insiders, Luminar Marketplace. You know what? I apologize. Dell, on the Windows version, do you remember where I can send this to support? Okay, I apologize. And I hope I'm not speaking out of turn where it's a new feature coming out. I'm almost positive it's in this release. If it was in the beta, I'm going to feel very embarrassed, but I will find it. Let's see. It wasn't Provide. I have to remember where I had it. So if it's in, one moment. Nope. So I will find it and I will show you where that image is, to where the neat thing about it is you're able to actually send that image in to our engineers. So let me see if I go over here for a moment. I hope and pray I'm not talking out of turn. Chances are, if I am, do me a favor. Please pretend you didn't hear that. Let's see. Provide feedback. File. So, I have a feeling we have new things coming out that you're going to be really excited about. But look how the feedback, based on what you've helped us do, you talked about you wanted to clear that cache. How many people were saying, oh my God, Luminar is using a lot of my system resources and storage on my computer. I wish we can get rid of it. They added it in there. Atmosphere AI, a lot of landscape photographers wanted that feature or that tool to be updated. They did. And of course, again, that huge, in my opinion, where it's going to make a lot of people much happier is with Develop Raw, you click Auto, and it gives you a great base to start with, because I usually use Enhance AI, and then I go back to Auto, I go back to Develop Raw. Here I can start in Develop Raw, get the best out of that program, or out of those tools, and then if I want to go back to Enhance AI. All right. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. And again, it's not a huge changes, new features. It's an improvement of what we've already had. Once again, showing you that the team is going out of their way to take your comments seriously and applying it. All right. And by the way, if you don't have Luminar Neo, scan that QR code where you can get Luminar Neo. If you already have it, you can still scan that code and you can receive, I believe, 10% discount on anything on the Luminar Marketplace using that code. All right. Now, if you're here, please stick around for the Ask Me Anything segment. For everyone else, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next coffee break.